The person who falls into these falsehoods is similar to a person who is drowning in a deep and wide sea, being slapped by waves and rolled by powerful waves, with darkness piled up to the extent that the drowning person is unable to see his own hand because of the darkness. A person who cannot see his own hand, even though it is one of his limbs, then how will he be able to see the way of salvation? This verse also informs us that the one who seeks light from other than the light of Allah, the Almighty, is like this. Whoever wants to be saved, then there is no way for him except to take light with the light of Allah. And the light of Allah on earth is His book and the Sunnah of His Prophet. Ibn Qayyim said, those who are likened to those who know the truth and guidance, but prefer the darkness of injustice and misguidance, so that the darkness of character, the darkness of the soul, and the darkness of ignorance are piled upon them. Because they do not put their knowledge into practice, so they become ignorant people, as well as the darkness of following misguidance and lust. So their state is like that of a person who is in a vast and deep sea, shoreless, covered with waves, on top of which there are more waves. Then above them are dark clouds. At Tafsir al-Qayyim, this verse is the most appropriate simile for the fitna shubhat. As for a detailed explanation of this fitna, I believe that it should be limited to two subjects, which are as follows. 1. Fitna is like a dark slice of the night. A number of hadiths that speak of fitna inform us that there is a type of fitna that looks like a pitch-black night. This type of fitna can be included in the chapter on lust or shubhat, and it can even be included in both. However, I'm more inclined to include it under fitna shubhat, because I think that is more appropriate. The truth is that shubhat is essentially blinding the eyes of the believer's heart, making him confused in his affairs, and making him unable to see clearly the path to the hereafter. This is consistent with the characterization of this fitna as a piece of pitch-black night. Indeed, the one who falls into it is prevented from seeing his affairs in reality, just as the one who walks in the pitch-black night is prevented from seeing the path on which he is traveling. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Woe to the Arabs, because evil is approaching. The fitna are like pieces of pitch-black night. A person goes through the morning as a believer, but he enters the afternoon as a disbeliever. A people sell their din for a little of the treasures of the world. One who clings to his religion at that time is like one who holds a burning ember, or, he said, like a man holding a thorn." Sahih Muslim al-Iman, Hadith, No. 118. We say, this hadith indicates the imminence of the fitna, the nature of which has been described. That is, the fitna is like a dark patch of night since the time of the companions. The hadith also indicates that the majority of the people who will experience its destruction will be Arabs. Hence, the threat to them is specific. The threat of these fitna is hidden among the obscurity of truth from falsehood. That is why the one who falls into its pit can no longer keep his faith, either with his tongue or with his weapon, even for half a day. Everyone, without exception, is caught in a state of vacillation between faith and disbelief. That is, he goes through the morning as a believer, but the evening does not come to greet him unless he has gone from the rope of faith to the circle of disbelief. One of the many reasons why a Muslim falls into the circle of disbelief, as stated in the hadiths, is that in the morning, he still considers the blood of his fellow Muslim to be protected. Then he falls into a doubt that makes him consider his blood, property, or honor lawful. It is well known that the act of accusing a Muslim of being a disbeliever will return to one of the two, the accuser or the accused. Fighting a Muslim or making it lawful for his blood to be shed is also kufr, as a number of hadiths make clear. This is kufr if the Muslim fights another Muslim without believing that the blood of the fought one is lawful to be shed. If this is not the case, then the perpetrator falls into kufr of belief, if he believes that the blood of his fellow Muslim is lawful to shed. This hadith also indicates how strong the control of this world and the grip of lust were in the hearts of the people of that time. So much so, that the possessions of this world, even a little bit of it, had such a deceptive power over their hearts that it turned them away from the religion of Allah, the Almighty. That is why religion and faith were sold and exchanged for the cheapest price, and at a loss. There is also a hint in this hadith that these fitna will specifically bring out a large group of people who seek the treasures of this world, and that the treasures of this world and its pleasures will be the standard of dignity for them. The helpers of the truth are very few in number at that time. Therefore, it is very difficult for a Muslim to keep his religion firm in his heart and behavior, so that the one who holds his religion firmly is like a person holding a burning coal, or holding a thorn, even though both are bitter and painful. The reason for this is that those who are still firm in their faith at that time will be confronted by a wave of apostasy that washes over them and sweeps them away from their surroundings, removing the principles of faith that they hold dear. This will not happen unless the majority of people are truly weak in their religion and faith. This hadith and others like it are one of the many proofs of the prophethood of Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, because these fitna have actually occurred and are rampant. Whoever observes the history of the Muslim Ummah, the trials of the Karamids and Bathinids in general, as well as the Fatimids and Nushairis, and some of the trials of the Abbasids and their wars against the rulers they replaced, as well as the trials of the Umayyads, such as the tragedies of Al-Hara, Karbala and others, will see clear evidence of the truth of the words of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. These fitnas continue to take place with great fierceness. Perhaps in our own time is much clearer the parties involved and the causes than in previous times. Nu'man ibn Bashir, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Verily, before the day of judgment, there will be many fitna like pieces of dark night. A person enters the morning as a believer, then he enters the afternoon as a disbeliever, or he enters the morning as a believer, then he enters the evening as a disbeliever. Many people sell their share with the cheap treasures of the world, or with the treasures of the world." Hasan al-Basri said, "By Allah, indeed, we see them as images, statues without reason, bodies without ideals, butterflies of fire and flies of greed. They leave in the morning with 2 dirhams, and return in the afternoon with 2 dirhams. One of them sells his religion for the price of a she-goat." Ahmad, Musnad al-Kufiyin, Hadith, No. 18434. We say, may Allah have mercy on Hasan al-Basri. Indeed, in his time it happened that religion was sold for the price of a she-goat. As for our times today, religion is sold without any price at all. Some people even sell their religion for the sake of other people's worldly interests. Sometimes this lowly act does not produce anything, even for the price of a she-goat. Such is the trade that is very loss-making. The worst of people is the one who sells the glory of his religion for the world, as explained by a number of Atsar. Abu Musa radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Verily, there are many fitna before you like pieces of dark night. A person enters the morning as a believer, but he enters the afternoon as a disbeliever. The one who sits at that time is better than the one who stands. The one who stands at that time is better than the one who walks. The one who walks at that time is better than the one who runs fast." The companions asked, "What do you command us?" The Messenger of Allah Shallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Be you saddles in your homes." Hr Abu Dawud, Al-Fitan wa Al-Malahim, Hadith, No. 4242. Foreign vocabulary. Allahs, the plural of halas, which is a cloth that is spread underneath a garment and is always close to it. It is also said that halas is a garment that is placed on the camel's back, under the saddle and saddle pad. What is meant by the words of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is that you should stay in your homes and keep quiet, so that you do not fall into fitna. Explanation: it is possible that this hadith refers to the fitna that took place during the Umayyad and Abbasid dynasties, or during the final period of the Islamic Caliphate Khilafah Rashida. But it is also possible that the fitna described in this hadith is general, and includes all fitna that result in bloodshed among Muslims and the seizure of their property. The hadith also instructs Muslims to keep away from fitna, not to take it lightly, and to restrain their hands, tongues, and actions during the time of fitna. Moreover, he should stay in his house when fitna is rampant in order to ensure the safety of his religion. The fitna that leads to bloodshed and turning people from Islam to disbelief must have arisen from the fitna of doubt that dwells in people's hearts, so that whoever falls into it will not be able to separate truth from falsehood. Hence, the safest thing to do in this case is to stay away from it and stay at home, especially in the case of a fitna in which Muslim blood is shed. Abu Umama, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "There will be a fitna in which a person enters the morning as a believer and enters the evening as a disbeliever, except for those whom Allah revives with knowledge." Sunan ibn Majah 21305, whose Muhakkik said, in Aziz Zowaid, the isnad is da'if. Explanation: this hadith indicates the importance of knowledge and its benefits in keeping Muslims away from the effects of fitna and the destruction that fitna causes to the hearts of people. Perhaps one of the most important pieces of knowledge that every Muslim should memorize at the time of the fitna is the knowledge of the fitna and the signs of the last day, and the knowledge that will enable him to know clearly the path that he should take between the fitna, so that he does not jump into the pit that many people are jumping into. The Muslim must also know about evil, its causes and motivations, so that he does not fall into it. This is why the most common question that Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, asked was about the evils that Muslims might fall into, because he feared that he might fall into them. 2. Fitna Satan. Satan's fitna contains both lust and doubt. However, this fitna is closer to the door of shubhat, because a person's fall into the fitna of lust initially only occurs and is caused by the shubhat of Satan, which contains incitement that adorns the world in the heart of a believer and removes the desire and longing for the hereafter from him. Then Iblis and his army direct this person only towards the life of this world by prioritizing shubhat towards the unseen. When this doubt is firmly established in the heart of a believer, he will be inclined towards the world and its desires, prioritizing the immediate and putting off the delayed. From another direction, after the fall of man into the valley of lust, the devil tries to realize his goal of bringing man down into shubhat. That is their real goal. That is their unified goal, as well as the biggest element that Satan seeks to realize through the spread of 4 types of fitna shubhat, namely raising doubts in the hearts of Muslims about the apostolic mission, the one who sent the messenger, and the promise of the hereafter. Jabir, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Verily, the devil has despaired of being worshipped by those who pray in the Arabian Peninsula, but he still tries to spread sedition among them." Sahih Muslim, Shifa, Al-Qiyamah wa Al-Jannah wa An-Nar. Hadith No. 2812. We say, this hadith describes the character of Satan's power in an Islamic environment that absorbs the teachings of monotheism, especially in the Arabian Peninsula. The peak of Satan's power is to incite enmity, hatred, and division between Muslims. In this hadith, there is also a hint about the importance of prayer to ward off the snares of the devil, because the devil's despair of human worship of him only applies when Muslims are still people who diligently pray. Satan always intervenes in the affairs of Muslims by stirring up despicable doubts and reducing the parameters of a Muslim's relationship with his fellow Muslims, his view of the world, and undermining his preparation for the hereafter. Jabir, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Verily, the throne of the devil is above the sea. Then he sends his army until they spread fitna against people. The best army in the sight of the devil is the one that has the greatest fitna among them. Sahih Muslim, Shifa, al-Qiyamah wa al-Jannah wa an-Nar. Hadith. No. 2813. Jabir radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Verily, the devil places his throne on water. Then he sends his hosts. The closest of his army to him is the one who has the greatest fitna among them. One of them came and said, I have done such and such. Satan said, you have done nothing. Then another of his soldiers came and said, I will not leave that man until I have divorced him from his wife. He said, then Satan said, you have done your best.